Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Better Call Saul, Season 5, Episode 6. It's called Wexler v. Goodman. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. Obviously, going into this, we kind of knew what the setup was, so the title didn't, strike me as oh, what? But I can only imagine, reading these titles at the start of the season if they'd released them and been like, wait, Wexler v. Goodman. Where are we going with that? Oh, baby.
Yeah.
So this episode has continued the trend this season of being very great character work. I mean, trend of the whole show, really. But this one in particular felt like a knife to the heart at one point. And in a way that made me hate Saul. And I was upset with him. I was very upset with Saul in this episode.
Yeah. You side with Kim on this one.
You do. There's no way not to. He does something kind of mean first. There's a little comedy scene where he's with two prostitutes that he's clearly just, pardon the phrase, gotten off. And they offer him a rub and tug, and he runs after them afterwards. And I sort of jokingly in my head went, has he changed his mind? Does he want the rub and tug? Is that what he wants?
Oh, I knew exactly what he was doing immediately. Right. I just knew.
And he, I knew it wasn't. I knew he wasn't paying them for something, the normal services. I knew it was some sort of scheme, right? Because I saw,
obviously, yeah.
Right. And it cuts to Hamlin at the restaurant, and immediately it clicks. I'm like, oh god, no, Saul, what are you doing? And Saul, and Hamlin's with Egg Bailey Jr. I can't remember his character's name, and they're sitting there. And they're joking about the judge who's got a new 22-year-old girlfriend and yada yada yada, and in walk the two prostitutes. I love the emphasis of starting off on the feet as they walk in, because it was like so out of place they are. It was like, these
everyone else is in these business suits.
Yeah, business suits, posh, fancy, plain carpets and all that, and then these high heels and stockings or whatever come walking in, and. You can't, and they're like, hey, Hammy, you owe me money, blah, blah.
It was Howie.
Oh, Howie, sorry, yes. Yeah. I picked the wrong name of the two.
Yeah, you did, yeah.
But you cut this all, across the street. He's down the street, he's got binoculars, and he's watching, and he's sitting giggling to himself. And I sat there going, Saul, this is a bit mean. I don't think Hamlin deserves this. Obviously we kind of said that with the car, when he tossed the bowling ball. But it was like, okay, he's being petty here, but maybe he's got it out of his system. He is vindictive. This was on. I was siding with Hamlin. Before we even get to Kim, I was on Hamlin's side during this scene.
Yeah, and because as much as, it was easy to understand why Jimmy was so hurt and upset by the offer that Hamlin made, and the way he lashed out, at least in the moment of that first one. Hamlin still was kind of operating in good faith, even if it was a little bit selfish on his own part as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this definitely feels just vindictive and like an overreaction now.
Yeah, this wasn't even prompted by anything. This was something he just chose to do.
He just got an idea when he saw them and went, oh, I can mess with him.
Yeah, this was purely just an idea that wasn't even it would never necessarily be a good idea, but at least if Hamlin had just had a fight with him or something, they'd okay, he's tensions are high, he's just been out of a fight with them, or Hamlin's just said something to piss him off. I still wouldn't necessarily think this was a just thing to do, but at least I'd understand the instant reaction of it. But this wasn't nothing caused this. This was just Jimmy. Oh, I can mess with Hamlin. I can do this. And it's not even it's good-natured prank, whatever. If let's say the prostitutes slipped him a card, a Saul Goodman card or something, as they were leaving, to let him know it was him, and sort of wink, and started as if he was starting a prank war. Not that Hamlin's the sort of guy that I think would respond to a prank war, but something.
Can you imagine?
And I feel I was siding so much with him in this scene, and then. Of course, it's actually right at the end of the scene where he goes over the line, because obviously earlier on in the episode there's a whole sequence where we see this old advert for Mesa Verde, the original Mesa Verde ad campaign or whatever it is, and it's this Kevin's dad who started the company, and he's out in the desert, and he's talking about you can trust us, we're a trustworthy bank, we'll no hidden fees, anything like that. And we see this old footage, and he's shown it to the little film crew, the film students that we've had throughout the show. He's like, hey, so, and he's got storyboards out. He's got a whole thing. He's like, all right, so you want these actors, you want these locations, and no, we can't. This is going to take a week. We can't do this by tomorrow.
and Jimmy takes like 5 minutes to explain a green screen because he doesn't know what he's talking about.
The Superman thing.
The Superman thing. Because as someone who not only watches a lot of movies, actually has made short films, I'm sitting going, the Superman? What's he talking about? The Superman? Like, what, wires? You want wires?
I don't blame him for getting a while to get to this.
Yeah, because I was like, I didn't know what he meant, and then eventually he's like, he's not really there, like blue screen. Oh, actually, to critique the film student here a little bit, blue screen, while not as common as green screen, is sometimes used instead of blue.
No, I thought that as well. I was wondering, was this a early to mid 2000s where it was just not common at all, and he was like, no. But I think so.
No, I'm pretty sure that even because basically the reason why you have obviously blue or green is because sometimes, let's just say, let's say you're making Guardians of the Galaxy and you've got Gamora walking around and you need to do some green screen stuff. Oh wait, she's green. Like, this won't work, so you pick blue. There's a reason why you don't typically have like a lot of both colors. You can usually fake, so you can just have one at a time. And then in some rare cases, this is very rare, but a yellow screen has been used at times.
Gotta do what you gotta do, ain't you?
The point is just to pick a colour that's the least like anything that's you're filming in front of it. But regardless, so I thought that was a bit weird. But maybe that just adds into his little like snide like auteur, or he thinks he's an auteur, like sort of dick character. Because later on when Saul's he thinks the camera's like a part of his body, or maybe it's just a part of the whole thing. But they're filming, so they paint the nail salon. They paint like one of the walls green. Jimmy's solution.
Does the job.
It does do the job. And they're filming these actors, and we get a whole thing where Jimmy starts directing. And he's given these really over the top directions where he's saying, "Do this, but don't do too much, but do that." He's narrowly putting them into this very specific thing where no actor in the world could probably hit exactly what he's thinking of. And Kim shows up. And Kim says, "Can I talk to you?" And he's put all this effort in. He's in his element. And Kim says, "Look, do you think, the guy would go for 75 grand? And he's like, "Wait, is that what their offer's?" Like, "Well, no, I think we can haggle them up and I'll make up the difference." And he's like, "Out of your pocket?" It's like, "Yep, this needs to end." And of course, the last time we saw Kim, before this, of course, last episode was the confrontation with Rich. It was the accusation, the implications. And she's here to kind of put an end to this. She just wants it to be over. And she says, "Can we stop? Can we walk away?" And he's like, "It's a shame, but okay, it's your call. Yeah, if you want to walk away, walk away." And the reason why I went back and explained all this is because this is the moment in the car after the prank on Hamlin where he picks up his phone and he calls someone. We don't necessarily know who as of yet, right? But he says, "Hey, have you ever heard of a bank called Mesa Verde?" And I don't think I've felt my heart sink as much as it has in this show than in that moment. And I'm like, "Oh, yeah. Jimmy, what are you doing?"
This is the "I did it for me" moment.
Yeah, this is him because this is the beautiful thing of the opening scene, because the opening scene's a flashback to when Kim was in junior high, and her mother was coming to pick her up, and we'd heard that her mother was kind of like always dodging rent and things like that. She was this kind of character, but we find here that she was maybe an alcoholic. Kim refuses to get in the car with her because she's been drinking, and refuses to, no matter how much her mother says, get in the car right now, offers her treats, threatens her with punishment, whatever it may be. Character stick, neither works. Kim's steadfast.
Moral high ground.
What's wonderful about this scene is that this shows that Kim has lived with someone who's an addict of something, right?
Yeah.
And it really came clear to me towards the end of the episode, the final conversation, where this is literally what she's went through before. It's just instead of alcohol, it's this. It's what Jimmy
scheming.
Does. It's scheming, yeah. It's slipping, as you were, slipping Jimmy.
Yeah.
Right? And, he's addicted to it. And so the entire sequence where she's in the meeting room, the boardroom with Kevin and Rich and everyone, they're waiting for Saul, he comes in late. This entire scene was like a horror movie to me. Like, this was more tense than most horror movies have accomplished in years.
Because, Kim's there setting up, it's like, "Look, we're offering this. What do you want in return? What are you going to ask for it?" And Kevin's there going, just put your number on the table and we'll see what we can do, because I'm sick of the dance.
And Kim's expecting him to say, if not 75, because I could maybe buy that she was.
I would have thought start at 100.
Yeah,
maybe they
start at
can
100
down to 75, because then she has to pay less herself.
Yeah, I think maybe start at 100 or something like that. Maybe a little bit high, maybe even 150, whatever it is, and so they can haggle down to that number that
they were starting at 45.
Yeah.
So I'd say about 100 would have seemed reasonable.
And he says 4 million. And Kim's double take here
The rage
is wonderful. I was scared for Saul after this, but this entire thing was, and Kim goes into proper lawyer mode where she starts telling Kevin not to talk about certain things because Jimmy puts in this ad, and it's basically an ad for her. It's kind of like when he did the retirement law ads. He's sort of done that, but it's just very slander. It's very much, hey, Mesa Verde, they probably gave you measles or something, or they probably did this. There's hidden costs. Oh, they've lost someone in their house. And they're like, you can't air this. This is like, and I think what I loved about this scene, this part of the scene specifically, when they've closed all the curtains and they're playing this advert, is that this was really Jimmy at his most like carny 2-bit scandalous nonsense, where he knows this is bullshit. They all know it's bullshit, but he's putting them into a trap.
They all know this is a blackmail scheme at this point. Yeah.
And he's not hiding it. Obviously he's not outright saying it because he can't legally, but it's very clear he knows what he's doing. He's not hiding it on his face, what he's doing to them. And then he says, on an unrelated note, and he brings up the horse. We talked about the horse last week and how this is actually Mesa Verde's logo and how they've ripped off this image from this photograph. That was kind of the idea that Kim had, is that they can...
Yeah, and Kevin makes it worse. Jimmy's like, have you ever seen this? And Kim's like, don't you dare say a thing. He's like, of course I've seen it. I own a copy of the picture. It's it's on my mantle or whatever. And he's like, so you see, copyright. It's like, he's like, I own the image. It's like, no. You own a copy of the image.
Yeah, that's obviously Kevin having a misunderstanding of copyright law.
Yep.
First and foremost. But what but I loved it, if he'd just listened to Kim, if he'd listened to his lawyer, although I don't necessarily blame him for not listening to them at this point, because later on when Kevin says he's sick of lawyers, I get it. He's been bandied back and forth. As much as he's a bit of an arrogant dickhead, they have been dangling him back and forth in this dispute for weeks, if not months at this point. Of all this going on.
Done with.
Yeah, he's sick of it. He's sick of the red tape. He's sick of dealing with all this.
It's why, just to cut ahead a little bit, Kim says, he knows that the handshake deal isn't binding because it's blackmail, but he's just doing it anyway because he's sick of it going on.
Yeah, he's just trusting you to honor your word because he believes that you will, I guess, honor that because it's on your weird
it's what you want.
Yeah, thieves of honor type of mentality kind of thing.
Yeah.
All this stuff was wonderful, and obviously he brings up the copyright thing, and he walks out. And Kim is furious, and they make it very clear, okay, we can fight this copyright thing, we can fight this ad thing. The problem is, though, is that this is going to take a lot of time, this is going to take a lot of money, this is going to be... I think Saul even says this will be 2 years of disputes before you get this cleared up, on one of them, whatever one it was.
And as they point out, okay, we can pull the ads, but they're going to run eventually at somewhere, someone will play them, and it doesn't matter that it's not true, the reputation will be tarnished. And there's no coming back from that for a lot of companies.
Well, that's the thing. When later on in the scene where Kim comes to talk to Saul outside the nail salon, and she insists on helping them, fix everything back up because it's her fault that they're all doing this. But when she's talking to Saul about it, he says, "Hey, look, we've really ironed this out. There's nothing they can prove." And I'm like, yeah, there's nothing they can prove, but Kim doesn't care that Rich can't prove something. He cares what he thinks of her. She cares what he thinks of her, and that's the problem. She doesn't want it in his head that she maybe is this schemy or this slimy. She doesn't care that it can be proven or not. Where obviously Saul's happy if you can't prove it. You might know it.
Good.
Deep down, you might know it, but you can't prove it, so I'm good. That is the difference between Saul and Kim, and all this is wonderful. Like I say, this was a horror movie, and Kevin gets mad, and I love that he remembers the number to call because in the advert it kept singing the number. So he calls the number. He's like, "Where are you?" And Saul's just waiting in the car park. He's just waiting by his car, and he's like, "Okay, what's this going to take? What do you want? What is this all about?" And he's like, "Well, I mean, if you imagine a world where my client has got the 45 grand you were supposed to give him, plus he gets to keep his house." And then if you imagine a world where you do a public apology for him, and then maybe you compensate the photographer who took that photo, who's still alive, by the way, because that's who he called earlier, obviously.
Yeah, she was in her 90s, I think they said.
Yeah. And you give her a apology as well. Maybe then I can imagine a world where those adverts just go away, and the copyright thing injunction just goes away, and all this is fine. And we don't actually get to see him shake the hand. He puts his hand out, and it cuts away. It's not until later.
It pulls back, and you just have the silhouette of him with his hand out for a good 3 or 4 seconds.
Yeah, perfectly shot. And obviously that's all, like, so obviously we cut away to the other people. We'll get to all the Mike stuff later, but we come back to the apartment, and Kim comes home, and it's that slow walk, and he's sitting there with a guitar. He's trying to learn to play guitar. He's doing like smoking the water or something.
It's smoking the water, but really badly. Even as a beginner song, it's bad. And he's so jovial, and like everything's fine, hunky dory. Let's just get on with things. Yeah,
as someone who played guitar in high school, that was painful to listen to, because I mean, smoking the water is like the first thing you can learn, then it'll sound all right.
Yeah.
But he, he's like, oh, I know, apologies, sorry, but hey, look at this. Everyone got what they want. They won. And Kim ultimately says, no, you won. And she ends up dropping F-bombs at him. She's pissed. She's mad. This is her sort of acknowledging she's living with an addict. And, she straight up starts talking like they're about to break up. She's like, no, like this, I can't do this anymore. This, you keep saying this, and you're promising it'll never happen again, but look at me in the eye and tell me that you can't. Like, you never can.
She outright calls him a liar.
Yeah. You're a liar. You lied to me. You made me the sucker. And you can stand there and pretend that it's to protect me, that I had plausible deniability, but you made me the sucker when I specifically asked you not to go through with this. I'm just going to say it. Her final line of this episode, maybe one of... It's weird to call it this, but this felt like a twist to me. Her final line of dialogue...
This pulled the rug out from under me, like, big time.
This felt like a dialogue, and I guess it's just because of how well the show is written and how much we're the characters doing things make sense to us. That her outright doing something that feels unpredictable actually felt like, wait, what?
Yeah, because all of this is building up to, we're gonna have to, this is leading to us break up. We can call it quits right now and enjoy the time that we had together, or you're like, or they're gonna stay together and hate each other, and like that's what it sounds like she's gonna say, right?
Yeah, and then of course the final line is, or we get married. Cut to credits. What? Right.
Yeah.
So, right. So here's the thing. I had to think about this because this really hit me this blindsided me. Because up until this moment, it really feels like this stunt he just pulled, where he went against her and did this in her place of business in front of her boss with her client that she worked really hard for. Despite the fact that she kind of started it, and I do like that part of it as well, that she set Saul loose in all this, and to borrow something from Legends of Tomorrow, which is a weird thing to use when I'm talking about Better Call Saul, but sometimes if you turn on a chainsaw, you get a chainsaw. And it doesn't, he's not a scalpel as Better Call Saul, as Saul Goodman. He is a chainsaw.
He is the chainsaw, yes.
And sometimes you need a chainsaw, but maybe she realized that wasn't the suitable thing for the time that she's, the situation.
She wanted the scalpel, but it was too late. The chainsaw was already on and thrown on the ground and chopping up bits anyway.
Yeah. So I like that part of it, but I really was thinking this is the moment that this stunt he just pulled is what ends this relationship.
We were saying, like, last week with when Kim had her outburst, we were like, this is it. Surely this is the scheme that went too far.
Yeah, but admittedly though, this would have been even different from what we were saying last week, in the sense that she would have maybe salvaged her job out of this, but it would have been the end of the relationship instead, as opposed to her losing her job and going that route.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
And there is a logical side to this. The logical side is that a husband and wife can't be tried for the same crime. That's a joke. That's an Arrested Development joke. Don't quote me on that. It's a great joke from Arrested Development. I know Carr's not seen it. Just
I'll take your word for it.
It's a joke at the start where George Senior's made Lucille do a bunch of stuff, and he sort of leans in and goes, "A husband and wife can't be tried for the same crime," and winks at George. No, what was it, Michael? Sorry, I'm getting off. There's too many Michaels and Georges in that show, and George Michaels, a whole lot of things. But Michael goes, "That's not true, Dad." And he just goes, "I have the worst effing lawyers." It's a great moment. Anyway, so this is a fascinating thing from a character point of view, because we saw her as a kid at the start of this episode. I think sometimes like shows will do a flashback and you'll go, why did they do that flashback? So Saul's earned my trust to assume that it's relevant. I'll just trust it as the episode goes on that it's going to feel, and it felt relevant multiple times in this episode, which is the beautiful thing about it.
I like at the start of the flashback as well. You're like, what's going? It wasn't immediately clear that this is the flashback.
Oh yeah, and by the way, the actress playing her voice,
spot on. It
felt like Kim. It really did. So great stuff. But even the kid that was playing young Kevin in the ad, the old commercial, I thought was actually kind of did an alright job of mimicking what Kevin became.
Yeah.
Not as good as the Kim, teenager was, but still, it was good, solid casting.
It was.
So we see that she's lived with an addict. She's seen what happens and how. I mean, her relationship with her mother doesn't seem to have ended well. It doesn't seem to be something that
she never really talks about it.
No, which is actually kind of fascinating that we're learning so much now.
So
it's becoming relevant.
Relatively speaking, close to the end.
Yeah, but all of it felt true to who she is. And we've been talking about the season. We talked about the whole thing with the throwing the bottles and all that, about how the relationship is kind of weird and there is these problems between them and differences, but they do find comfort in each other. There is real love there, right? So I can't completely put my finger on it right now. Exactly the logic in our brain is either we break up or get married, but I think it's the idea of she has to commit to this life, essentially. Yeah, well, there is a logical side to it, though. I mean, I was joking about the not being testifying for the same crime, but there is obviously testifying against your spouse. There is some legal.
Oh, sure, but even aside from that, I think it's more in terms of just their relationship. It's she can end now, like you can get out of this now, and she can be, relatively speaking, free, or they have to buckle in and commit to no, we're in this together. You know, all the crazy schemes. If we get married, I have to kind of be a part of them.
This is
in some way.
Joe, it's so, which is great because if you think about so much of this show, you remember when he wanted to do The Office together, and she had that whole moment where she like ripped a bit of paper up and realized the same building but two separate law like practices and all that. Like so much of this show's been her trying to like be with Jimmy but kind of have that line because his who he is kind of gets in the way and so on.
Yeah, and that marriage is accepting that line can't really exist. It's either being separate or being together. There is no kind of half and half. And
it doesn't feel like a complete cop-out because, we've established that she does feel for him, she does love him, and this moment is an admission of, like, I love you, and it either has to be all in or not at all. There can't be a half measure here. And I think what I think is so impressive about this moment, this beat of the story, is that I can't think of another example where I care so much about both characters. I care about them as a couple. I've been so invested in their like play off of each other, the way they felt for each other, all their ups and downs over the course of it. Where when one of them says we maybe should get married, and I immediately went, no, don't do it.
Yeah, it's something else, isn't it?
That is fantastic writing. That it's not because don't get me wrong, I was a little bit against Saul in this episode because he was, again, comparing him to an addict. Well, I mean, it's not even comparing; he is an addict, but like comparing it to an alcoholic or whatever who like falls off the wagon is a perfect analogy for this because that's kind of what it is. You're sort of watching, and going, "No, Saul, don't take the booze, don't take the drink," and he does.
That's been like this show for at least 3 seasons.
Yeah, it hurts so much.
It's frustrating every time he slips back, and it's a little bit further each time. And this here it's kind of, you care about Kim's well-being so much that you're like, no, don't commit to this, please.
This is the thing.
Don't go in all on that.
We know he's a lost cause because we know his future. Kim can get out of this. Kim can have a happy ending, relatively speaking.
That's it. We don't want Kim to get sucked in too far, as much as she already is. We want her to still be able to get out. And obviously, you go, if they get married, that's it. She's screwed, and you just don't want that.
Yeah, and I can see them toying with the idea. Maybe she doesn't, she changes her mind at the last minute. Maybe they just don't even go down the path. Maybe he immediately gets, oh no, I don't know about this. But then, to me, Saul probably would want to do this. I mean, I feel like Saul would probably be...
I'd be surprised if he didn't jump in and be like, yes, let's do it. Like next week.
Yeah, let's just go down to the marriage license place and to get it all whipped up. Get a witness and blah, blah, blah. It makes complete sense that Saul would just jump in gun-ho, because that's the way he is with most things.
I'd love that. This, like I said, it was borderline a twist. It completely took you off guard when she says this at the end.
It felt like a twist. I legitimately felt like I just got M. Night Shyamalan when she said that at the end.
Right, exactly. And you're going, what the hell? This makes no sense. And then you stop and think about it. You're like, oh, I get it. And so I think that's what makes it so impressive, that the twist can catch you off guard and be effective in the moment. But as soon as you stop and think about it, it doesn't actually betray anything or ruin anything. It doesn't feel like it's there for the sake of it. There is some sort of character logic that you can follow that I get why this happened.
And I think we've talked about in the past, comparing like his relationship with Chuck to the relationship with Kim, and how Chuck was never the person who was there for him in the same way that he wanted him to be, and how he's kind of molded Kim into being that for him, and that's why Kim appeals so much to Saul. Beyond just other obvious reasons, and then and obviously we've analyzed it from Kim's side, like why does Saul appeal to her, and so on and so on. But it's. The writing's so good. Like I was so like I was terrified throughout that entire boardroom scene of what Saul was going to do to Kim's career, of his well-being afterwards because of how pissed she was.
She was in a murderous rage.
Yeah, and we didn't even talk about the scene actually. I liked that little scene where she apologizes to Rich, and
I really like how she didn't apologize for so long. Like she kept speaking, and he kept looking at her like he was waiting for it. And I wasn't sure if she was aware that she hadn't actually said, I'm sorry, or I apologize. And it's really, really late that she gets to it. Like, and I don't know if it was an afterthought or if she was just building to it.
What was funny about it is that it's not even like she admits to anything. She apologizes for yelling at him. She apologizes for reacting like that, which makes sense given that she still is feigning her innocence. But I did like his thing where he's like, you know what, you can lose your shit at me all you want. You can yell at me and shoot at me, that's fine, but don't do it in front of the troops because morale, their confidence in us to lead them, it all falls apart. So he's like, we're going to go to lunch. We're going to walk out together to go to lunch, and everyone's going to see us. Is that good? And she's like, yeah. So I like that leadership there of like, yeah, like it reminds me very much of any. Anything set in a submarine or even a starship, if we're talking about Star Trek or something, where although I've never seen Star Trek do this admittedly, but I've definitely seen submarine movies and do it where it's
we watched one a couple of months ago.
Yeah, Curse of Tide. Yeah, like you don't if the XO's got a problem with the captain, okay, you do it in private, the captain will listen to you, but you do not make him look like a chump in front of the crew.
Yeah, whether or not he does actually listen to you is a different question.
Yes, well, I will. Gene Hackman was a problematic captain in that movie, that's all we'll say. But. Yeah, so it definitely has shades of that, and I kind of appreciate that. So the Saul Kim plotline is
phenomenal.
Yeah, phenomenal. And then I think the other plotline was also really good. I mean, it wasn't up to the drama of this, but
it was exciting and fun.
It was exciting and fun, and the Mike and Gus plot. Mike is on board with Gus at least to take down Laylo. He's maybe not committed to sticking around, but he's there for Laylo because I actually love because. Gus comes to see Nacho to find out what Laylo's planning, and Laylo's planning basically everything. He's like, he's going to like mess with your plumbing, your electricity. He's going to try and make your customers sick. He's going to
basically give them food poisoning at your restaurant.
He's going to make you look like an idiot so that the Salamancas and everyone in charge will just not think you're worth the bother and just basically cash you out.
It's a good plan.
Yeah, it's a solid plan. And Gus is like, okay. And I like the natural sees Mike and is like, wait, this is this guy,
Michael.
that Michael, but he's like you report to Mike. If he asks you to do something, that's it. It's an order. And I like that once Gus leaves, Natural goes up and says, do you know who you're working for? Like, do you realize what he does to people? He's threatening my dad. That like I'm terrified for him. And Michael. I want to say Michael. I was because we just said Michael because that's the way Werner would say it.
Yeah, and that's all that Lalo knew him as. Yeah. So that's why Nacho never put it together either because it was Michael and not Mike.
Yeah, and he's appealing to Mike's kind of like morality, which Mike does have, and he says it makes it's a very interesting line where he just says, "Look, we need to down Laylo Salamanca. After that, we'll talk." And he gets in his car, and I'm like. Oh, I'm intrigued by that.
What's he planning, and how does he eventually come back around to Gus's? Because ultimately we know he does.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I don't know, but maybe it's this idea that Mike will have a problem with the idea of this innocent man, Natural's father being this kind of target, this bargaining chip.
Yeah, I would not be completely surprised. Okay. This is not a prediction. I'm not saying I expect this to happen, but if it got to the stage where it was a case of Mike going, "Hey, I'll agree to keep working for you if you leave him alone and and let Nacho out of this and let him go and do whatever he wants," that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me that either. It also wouldn't surprise me if Mike goes further down the deep end and keeps working for Gus, but he secretly kind of like
he's supposed to kill Natural's father, but he actually kind of fakes it and makes him, lets him, as opposed to Wexler, which was he had to kill him. Like maybe he actually says, Natural, you have to take him away. You have to let him. No, admittedly, Natural's father doesn't want to run. We know that, but
maybe they get to a point where they can.
Yeah, or maybe the darkest timeline of this is that Mike is ordered to kill Natural's father and
does it.
And does it, yeah, and you'll see how that plays out. That would be the complete and utter tragedy of it all. I think Natural, you kind of, if not Natural, you definitely want Natural's father to have a happy ending. I think if Natural gets his father to safety, but then Natural dies, like, I mean, I like Natural, but I would accept that as he at least got to save his loved one, the innocent one. He got to save the innocent person.
I think, they bring up a point in this conversation that Nacho's kind of involved at his own will. I think it was Mike says, he warned him about the pills. It's like you got involved. This was on you. And Nacho's like, no, I'll take responsibility for that, and and me being involved, but they've involved my father, and it is that distance. So if Nacho does die or whatever because of this, it's kind of fair game. He's aware of that.
Yeah. So no, I appreciate that. So we get Mike doing his plotting. He pretends to be a PI and goes to the one witness from the murder that Lalo did back in the season finale of last season. The guy in the not the currency exchange, but the because Wexler transferred money.
It was the currency transfer.
Yeah,
place.
And he talks to this witness, and basically he's there to get her to confirm that she saw Lalo's car. Because this is the thing, they've made a big point in this season of showing Lalo's car. Him working on it, him at the racetrack.
It's a very distinctive car.
Yeah. And then he makes her call the police. Once he eventually it was a little moment I loved here actually, where Mike says, "Oh, don't mention me because they don't, the police don't like private investigators. I just want justice." And he feeds her that kind of like really cheesy line, and she goes, "Oh yeah, I understand." And I love you see Mike roll his eyes a little bit before he says, "Oh, thank you, Kathy," or whatever her name was.
I think it was Lily.
Lily, yeah. But there's a little moment where he rolls his eyes first. It's like, "Oh, you're so killable."
Yeah, I love the way he played this. Was there any car there that was distinctive? And she's like, yeah, actually there might have been, but I don't know cars. And he's like, was it this? Could it perhaps have been this? And she's like,
what's so good about this is that Mike, being an ex-cop, knows exactly what information to give the police to sort of lead to him. So he gives him the car, he gives her the car, and makes her tell the cop about the car, and then he goes to the police station and makes sure that there's like a. Because this is a little of the detail, is that the cop that gets the report later, that obviously Mike's filled out, and sort of like he berates this guy who's like delivering the interstation mail, and he it's like, hey, this name, who sent this? I can't read that. It's too much of a scribble. But this information, this car was
checks out,
spotted in a hit and run on that same day. So, and then of course he also calls in where the car is at one point. He gets from Natural where the route that he is. Where's he going? And Lalo's about to fight back when he thinks it's one cop, and it's not until it's another three cop cars that pull up that he's like, okay, I guess I need
can't shoot my way out of this one.
Yeah, I guess I need to go. So, really, really fun stuff. Really well done. The cop that does get the message is actually, it's a cameo from Breaking Bad. This cop was in Breaking Bad.
Was it?
I saw people theorize online that he was on the phone to Jesse because Jesse had a story about a possum been under his porch at one point. I don't know. It felt like people were saying. I don't remember the story from Breaking Bad, so I can't say if I think it is or not. But the consensus from what I saw online is that it probably isn't. But this was just a little like Easter egg, wink, wink, because this cop was in Breaking Bad, I think.
Sure. I mean, I don't remember it. There's so many cameo parts that.
Oh yeah, they love to throw in the little faces.
If you notice, great. If not, absolutely nothing was lost by not recognizing this.
No. I actually just enjoyed the story of him explaining to this person that if you can't fit under your porch, it's probably not a dead body.
That was my favourite bit as well. That got an actual chuckle out of me.
So, no, it was solid, fun, make stuff, sort of starting to understand what he's doing, what the cogs are turning, all that stuff.
I think the fun, borderline action thriller feel of it was a really nice, palate cleanse compared to the serious drama going down.
Sure.
In the other plot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was a nice. It was the difference between the two plot lines in terms of feel was really good because it made the episode feel like it was constantly bouncing between them, and it felt like it was keeping it engaging in different ways.
It really is amazing how effortlessly it can bounce between those different tones and plots just without skipping a beat.
Yeah, no, this season has been phenomenal so far. I had a couple of setup episodes, but episode
3 onwards has been basically nothing but gold.
Yeah, and remarkably consistent. Like, it's not like I would struggle to tell you a standout episode at this point or in the season.
Yeah, I've loved every season so far, and I think one of the things that season 4 suffered from a little bit was that season 3 was very much a culmination of everything with Chuck and Saul, right? And I feel like we spent a season kind of like having the fallout of that and continuing the Kim and Saul story, and that was wonderfully told, and we were lauding it with praise all season long. But I think this season, for me, it's starting to feel like we're getting to like the culmination elements of Kim and Saul, and because of that, we're hitting this kind of second like high point of the show. You know, if the first high point was chicanery in season 3, that mid episode,
what have we got coming?
Yeah, I feel like we're kind of in this range now for the Kim and Saul stuff. Is what it feels like. But
I agree, because like I say, season 4, while wonderful, definitely slowed down, and it was like, okay, let's kind of just introduce a lot of things, you know, from scratch essentially, and it definitely feels like the show is split into 2 halves in a pre and post Chuck world, even though they are both still defined by his presence and lack thereof.
Yeah.
But this season again, okay, we're in the late second act now, as opposed to season 4 felt like a first act again.
Yeah. So, no, wonderful episode. I really can't praise it enough. We got 4 more left of the season, so enjoy them, folks. You can let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. You can like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show and the channel and everything we do here, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. And you can support us for as little as $1 per month and get some bonuses for your trouble. So please go and have a look and see if you're interested in doing that. Keep all the content coming. But that is us. Obviously, we're still reviewing Westworld. We're still reviewing Star Trek Picard. We're still reviewing Devs. So there's a bunch of shows on right now. There won't be much on in about a month or so's time because we'll be running out of shows that were made before all the quarantine started happening. But for now, we've got some really good TV to talk about. And we'll probably do more classic stuff once we hit, or maybe more movies or whatever once we get there. But please do go and check out Patreon and Twitter and all the other things. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?